1, 2, 3.
Welcome to the Mental Reps podcast, featuring your host, Brian Wright.
You're a big motorcycle guy, right? And I could only imagine how during this time, you're just like, fuck this, and let's hit the open road. It's 62 degrees. It's a Saturday. What motorcycle are you pulling out of the garage? Where are you going?
Our guest this episode is comedian and actor, Alonzo Bodden.
You know, it's funny because I've always said my favorite place to be is alone in my helmet.
This week's episode is sponsored by the Field Irish Pub Eatery, a little piece of island in South Florida.
It's meditative to ride. On a day like that you're talking about, I'd probably get on a BMW. My tastes have changed over the years, you know, from my younger days, my 20s, riding sport bikes and seeing how fast you could go and doing track days and all of that stuff. And now I've gotten more into the longer rides.
As well as elite sanitizing services, keeping South Florida clean and in business.
I rode cross country 5 years ago. I went from LA to New York, and it's one of the few times where the experience was even greater than I imagined it would be.
Now fade out that fresh as beat, and let's get this bitch on the road.
Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. I'm Brian Wright. Hello. What's shaking, bacon? I hope you're happy and healthy. Thank you for listening, watching, sharing with your friends. YouTube, listening wherever you can listen to your podcast, the social medias. It doesn't go unnoticed. I really appreciate it. I meant to say it last week. Thank you to everyone who wrote into mentalrepspodcast@gmail.com, commented on YouTube, or slid into my DMs to tell me what they thought of the TJ Miller interview I did last month. Lily, John, Frank, Rair, and a bunch of others. I appreciate you all. To you, please go check out the new and improved mentalreps.net. We are giving 50% of the proceeds from the podcast merch sales to an amazing nonprofit called Neighbors for Neighbors. Be a gem. Go pick something up. You're helping the show and a bunch of people in need, which includes me in the show. You're helping people in need. All right. Mentalreps.net is where you can make that happen. I got to move some merch. All right. Can you go buy some merch? There's people in need here and need your help. And I need your money so I can afford a better diet, because Papa can't live on public subs, man. It's a lot of MSG. The cold cuts. I'm a little backed up. Also, COVID-19, Neighbors for Neighbors, all of that. They need your help too. My stomach hurts. Please go spend money at my website. Again, mentalreps.net. Don't forget to make your reservations for Township Comedy Club, either benefiting Neighbors for Neighbors, January 30th. You can make those reservations right now at townshipftl.com, or call Wednesday through Sunday, 954-338-4070. Jimmy Schubert headlining. This dude, I mean, God, this guy's been around forever, been headlining this great nation of ours. Abby Ballin, a local here from South Florida, who... she's very provocative. She can get a little raunchy and shit, but she's pretty cool. Very funny. Looking forward to you guys being able to meet her. Opener, Danny Braff. He is from New York. He is, I believe, a cellar guy. He's been doing comedy for a while, working his way up in a really tough scene up there in New York. He's coming down. He reached out to me and asked for a spot, and I checked out his shit. He's very funny. He's gonna be open up. And host John Gregory, he's a local guy from down here in South Florida. Really think that you're gonna dig him as well. Sick lineup. Free entry, 2-drink minimum. You'll be contributing to a great cause. Make your reservations now, townshipftl.com. My guest today is a very smooth, a very cool comedian and actor, Alonzo Bodden. He's a winner of Last Comic Standing, been on pretty much every talk show you could think of. Conan, Leno, all those frequents, NPR's Wait, Don't Tell Me, which they have an insane fan base, which has garnered him a lot of fucking love and respect. You might have seen him on Californication, fresh off the boat. He does some acting. Plus, he's got a new special out, comedy special, Amazon Prime, called Heavy Lightweight. I checked it out. I hope you go do the same. It's really funny. I like Alonzo a lot. I heard of him back in the day and started catching him here and there. Heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast, started looking into his comedy a little bit more, and he's really funny, but you'll see he's just super chill. He likes to ride his motorcycles and shit. He's like 6'4", big dude. He will fuck you up, but he's like a big teddy bear. I just like his approach to things, man. And also, FYI, we had this conversation the day before this whole shit went down at the Capitol. We referenced a few things you may think, like, why the hell didn't they bring that up? Well, that's why. And I normally release the next day or even the same day, but I have them all planned out this month, making sure you get a new episode every week, because sometimes I can do it and they'll be on my schedule. Sometimes I got to work around their schedule. It falls through and then I'm off a week. I'm trying to make sure that we don't have any more missed weeks. Anywho, I hope you dig our talk. But first, your love brings a warmth to my heart. I am looking stargazer. South Florida's authentic pub and eatery. I know you're like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Our official sponsor. What can I say about the field that I haven't already? If you can, close your eyes and just start thinking of the dopest Irish pub you could ever think of. Like, map it out in your brain. Then go to the field and get back to me. It's like a little piece of Ireland right here in South Florida. Half the staff is from Ireland themselves, so they're walking around. Oi! Welcome back. It's been too long, Brian. Can I get you a Guinness? And I'm like, fuck yeah, you can. Full bars. Honestly, like, the Guinness is the best I've ever tasted. I don't know what they do, but it's just better than anywhere else. Irish American cuisine, shepherd's pie, bangers and mash, the corned beef, the cabbage. Irish potato soup. But if you're super picky, no excuses. They have steaks, chops, fresh seafood, vegan options. So no excuses for your emaciated, fedora-wearing friends. Live music Wednesday through Sunday. But if you're staying in, no problem. Go to thefieldfl.com. Enter code word reps20 for 20% off your entire online order. Go get that discount. Look up their order. Keep the plates in the cabinet. Let them take care of you tonight. Again, thefieldfl.com. Code word reps20. Also, here's another great company run by great people. If you're looking for local sanitizing services here in South Florida, just call ESS Elite Sanitizing Services. They're state licensed and insured, offering local sanitizing services, which kill 99.9% of all bacteria and viruses, including COVID-19. If you need to keep your property, employees, and customers safe and virus-free, just let them keep you in business. Keep your employees working. They offer services for schools, churches, medical facilities, offices, aircrafts, yachts, public transportation, restaurants, gyms, homes, vehicles, and a whole lot more. It's like running them through a big Purell machine. And now they're offering free sanitizing to all the medical professionals and first responders, which I just think is a really, really cool thing to do. So give them a call, 954-663-5836. Visit them at elitesanitize.com or email them at info@elitesanitize.com. Elite Sanitizing Services, keeping South Florida safe and in business. All right, let's get to it. Let's get on with the program. Enjoy my chat with Alonzo Bodden. Welcome to Mental Reps Podcast. I'm joined today by actor and comedian Alonzo Bodden. What's up, dude? How you doing, man?
Wow, you are very generous with that actor level. I mean, that actor.
Hey, I've seen you in a few things, man. Don't sell yourself.
No, I've.
It's funny, comedians always say that.
Yeah, I've done it. And I've done some, and it's always fun when it pops up. But no, I'm not one who thinks of myself as an actor. When you say actor, comedian, I think of guys like Craig Robinson, who, does both all the time, or on a bigger level, Chris Rock, somebody like that.
Copy that.
Do you think of Chris Rock as an actor, comedian? I think we still think of him as a comedian, even though he does major acting gigs.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I guess it's I would think of Will Ferrell more of a comedian. Did he do stand up though? I don't know if Will.
I think of him as a comic actor.
He's a comic actor.
He may have done, but I've never known him to do stand up. And then you have some ridiculous character like Jamie Foxx, who, like, whatever you want, I can do better than anybody.
Honestly, you're right about that. Everything I've seen that guy in ever, I'm like, good God, how is so much talent wrapped up in one person? It's not fair. But dude, how you been holding up during this whole pandemic? I know everybody's taking it a little different. How are you doing?
I think I've been pretty lucky. And one of the things was I adapted to this, right? To the Zooms and the streaming and all like right away.
Yeah.
April of last year, the Laugh Factory started doing these streaming shows for YouTube, and we would go to the club and get on stage, and they had a camera, and you basically do a set. Excuse me, you do a set to no audience. And then the Zoom thing came up, and I think the Nowhere Comedy Club approached me to do one, and I was like, okay. And it was terrible. Like I had desk lamps set up and a laptop. It was bad, but I quickly learned, and that's why now, like, I have a light set up. I have this little room we're in. I call this my Zoom studio, my Zoom room,
Okay. You got
and
a little ring
so
light? You got a ring light?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
no, actually, it's funny. I have the regular box lamps like they use on set,
Okay.
and then I have a ring light in another room for when I do that. So yeah, it was a matter of adapting,
Yeah.
and the live stuff. Let's see. I went from March 14th to July 3rd without being on stage live, which is the longest in my career by far,
You've been
and it
doing it
was
like
so
25 years, right? Sorry to interrupt you.
27. Well, actually, this
27.
makes 28. This year will be
Wow.
28th year. I started in 93.
So
And
that's a habit that's hard to break.
it was like, man, it was like water in the desert to get on stage in front of people. And I probably got on stage 15 to 20 times last year, which is, normally a month.
Yeah, man, absolutely. But so are you finding that now that you're getting out there on the road, you're getting the rust shaken off, and how are the audiences? Like, how is it being out on the road now, or going to do
Well,
shows now?
unfortunately, the road has shut down again for me.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
different for different people and where you're booked. Like Florida and Texas, they're not going to stop for anybody. But
Yeah, that's not
everywhere
looking good.
else, a lot of my other stuff was canceled. And the audiences appreciated it as much as we did, especially July and August when I was really, I probably did about 3 or 4 clubs, and I was
Thirsty.
really rusty. I mean,
Yeah.
I was bringing my notes on stage, on the iPad, something I never do, right?
Hmm.
And but the audience was into it because they knew we were rusty. So it was like doing some crowd work and then remembering material. And then the more I did it, the more I started remembering my act. The big difference is you don't get to test material during the pandemic, right? So normally
Mm.
I do my local spots, I do the Laugh Factory, the improv, stuff like that. And I'm running material. Then I go on the road and it's like, yeah, this works. Now you write it and you test it on the Zoom meeting, or you test it on stage. Like there's no practice anymore. It
Yeah.
just get to work, but again, the audiences, they the people coming out now are people who love stand up, so they appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a very unique thing that you need the audience there in order to just see whether it's any good or not. I mean, you have to have that feedback. I mean, I know there's a few comedians. I can't think of the one I was thinking off of my head that just literally go. I think Carlin used to go out and he would just write the material and take it out, and he would do a special. Like, he wouldn't try necessarily everything, but that's really kind of rare. Most of the time, a comedian, you always got to get on stage and just try it out, figure out the rhythm of it, and get that feedback.
Well, I do that. Like my favorite joke is still my newest one. So when they say, test the new material in the middle, I'm always like, nah, I want to do it right away. And way back when we were doing Last Comic, I loved it. I would write something on Friday and Saturday and put it on TV Tuesday. And people are like, are you crazy? And I was like, no, man, this is great. You know, um,
Confidence.
and it's crowd work I do in the moment, and I love doing that. I mean, I love to be present in the moment. So it's a combination of things. Some of it you want to work out ahead of time. Some of it you want to just do, and some of it has a limited shelf life, right?
Mm.
Like uh, the
I gotta
news
say,
cycle the news cycle is happening so fast,
oh,
and some things that we would have considered important now don't even really get covered because of, obviously COVID and Trump's insanity. And yeah, so you have to work with that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that that's kind of like it's a blessing and a curse for comedians where, musicians can record that one song, they can go and play it over and over and over and over again and people just want to hear it. But the comedian, you got to stay fresh and you got to constantly be making new things. But I got to say your newer stuff, at least your new special Heavy Lightweight. I watched it on Amazon Prime. It was great, man. I mean, it's all good. I know just little jokes. I was thinking of like you were talking about I mean, I love the Siri and Alexa joke and all that. Like, and who knows in 10 years what the new Siri and Alexa are gonna be. But
Right.
yeah, so things are always changing and you have to evolve along with the times, right?
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned musicians because I work with a ton of jazz musicians and I love them. I love jazz. To me, it's the most creative form of music, and the musicians operate on the highest level. And I tell them all the time, look, man, you could play something that Miles Davis wrote in 1959 and people call you a genius. If I don't have new material, like I do these jazz cruises, I said, on Thursday, I can't do something I did Monday.
Yeah.
They're like, "What? You don't have anything new?" And so we joke about that. And the other thing I joke with them about is, "Hey, I don't get to practice in studio."
Yeah.
But what's funny about
And
that
tweak it
now,
too.
they're suffering now because they can't collaborate via Zoom or any
Mm,
technology, even the most sophisticated, has a momentary delay.
yeah,
And that delay is enough to throw off musicians.
absolutely.
Whereas we can work, I can work through a Zoom. I mean, it's like doing radio. I compare it to doing radio. You don't get the feedback that you would. It may or may not be funny. They may or may not be laughing, but we can do it. So there's some parallels and some differences. But yeah, I think right now, I think in this environment, comedy is easier to do than music.
Yeah, I guess uniquely right now, absolutely. Like you said, just that little bit of timing difference over the Zoom or whatever, no matter how good they get at it, it's just impossible. I've played, I've been a musician. I'm not very good, but somewhat of a musician. And I also came up doing radio. So that's something else I wanted to ask you about. Obviously, you've got the voice for it. On NPR, you've got a show that you frequent quite often, right? Who's paying it? Or no, that's your pod.
No, wait, don't tell me.
Wait, don't tell me is on NPR. Who's paying attention is the podcast, right?
Right, right.
Right. So how'd you get into radio outside of you having a fucking beautiful, sexy voice of God?
Well, I always joke that yeah, I have a voice for a dying medium, right? I mean, if I had been around in the
And I
days of
too.
the Quiet Storm,
You and I
oh,
both, bro.
I'd have made some Quiet Storm money. Wait was a fluke for me in the sense that it's one of NPR's biggest shows. Between the radio show and the podcast, I think they average 5 million listeners a week. And my first time on the show, I had never heard of it.
Yeah.
I had an agent who talked to them about me, and I think they came and saw me. I happened to be doing a show in Chicago, and a couple of the producers came to the show, and they were like, "Oh, he'll be great for Wait," and they brought me in. So when I went in, I was just thinking, "Oh, this is a panel show." I've done panel shows before, right? All I got to do is be funnier than whoever's next to me. That was honestly my thought, and it was a lot of fun. Peter's a great host,
Mm,
and at the end of the show, he was like, "That's one of the best first timers we ever had," and I really think it's because I had no idea what it was, so I wasn't nervous. If I had known, I might have been in my head. I might have been thinking about it. To me, I think the most fascinating thing that the first time I did it was Tom Bodett was one of the panelists, and I
okay.
was like, "Oh, you write books?" I had no idea. I thought he just did Motel 6 commercials. I was like, "Oh, you're an author.
Yeah.
That's who you are. Okay,
Yeah.
got it."
Yeah.
So and it's still fun. I do it about once a month, and that NPR crowd, the nerds, as we lovingly call them,
Oh, hell yeah, man.
it takes them a while to accept you. But
Mm.
once they accept you, they're fully on and you get their full support. For the first year, I used to joke like, "Nah, I'm not even in the brochure yet. They're still debating whether I'm, worthy." But
Yeah.
once you're in, you're in.
But that's kind of a beautiful thing about when people get to hear you and listen, and now that we're finding out more and more with podcasts, is these people really come to know you so intimately. They hear you so often, and, when people are listening, it's often like you're looking to listen to who you agree with, who you don't, and have, or even better, be proven wrong and have somebody provide like this new voice. So you're like, oh man, that's an interesting way. And when you get out there and you get people thinking and questioning themselves and also just learning so much about you, you find that you have these people who, I mean, they really do feel like they know you. And I've been in radio for 10 years, just on a local level, nowhere near NPR type level, but it's insane. I still have, and I'm not on the air anymore since the pandemic hit. At least I'm off for now, and I still got people constantly sending me messages and just having the little podcast and getting it out there. It's amazing when you find out people are actually listening, and I can only imagine how on the NPR level, with that kind of level, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of damn people listening to this.
It's very cool. They come out to your shows. With the funny thing with Wait is I go a lot harder in my stand up than I do on NPR,
Mm.
obviously. So I think some of them may not be ready for that, but they're very into it. And fans, just the concept of having fans and the way they are, it's really interesting, man. I have a it's an interesting thing. So big stars, and Adam Carolla told me this a long time ago. I wish I'd listened or learned, but he said you find out who your fans are and you market everything to them, and that grows that base. Whereas with me, I've had a pretty broad fan base, ridiculously broad. I was telling a friend I've received fan emails from 9 year olds to 80 something year olds, and it's great. It's harder to focus with a broad base, but people agree with you, and I don't mind. I even like people who disagree as long as there's sanity involved. Like the
Yes.
right wing screaming idiots, I have no time for them. I won't block them unless they really become insulting and that nonsense. To me, there's nothing less manly than threatening to unfriend somebody. I'm
I
just,
totally agree. I totally
it's
like,
just like, listen, man,
anybody who doesn't agree with everything I say, get out of here. It's like, come on. I mean, even their own
so
family members and stuff, it's like,
right. I won't debate with ridiculous, but I'll debate with opposing viewpoints. And, more and more, and, we're obviously not going to make this show a political one, but it is interesting that more and more people are saying, well, we can't debate with the Republicans anymore because they've gone off the deep end. Like they've given over to things that are just basically made up conspiracies, like this whole voter fraud thing. It's just,
Georgia was
I just
happening.
agree with them now. It's like the election was rigged. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, it was hard. We started with the fake virus and then we got the election. It wasn't easy. Took a lot of meetings, but we got it done. Just to
Yeah.
see, like, now what do you say?
Yeah.
It's, I don't know,
It's
man.
all so
That,
exhausting. It's all so exhausting, man. I'm in the middle. I'm kind of looking at everybody like you're out of your fucking mind. But especially there's levels to this shit. The extremes. I can't. It hurts my feelings how
yeah,
obnoxious and exhausting these people are. And it's like, people going out with this energy. They're so desperate to be right and in the know, and everybody else is just sheep. And it's like, God, come on. I just can't handle. And I can only imagine how during this time, this is something, not to like segue it too much here, but I wanted to talk to you about. You're a big motorcycle guy, right? And I could only
yeah,
imagine how during this time you're just like, fuck this, and let's hit the open road. It's 62 degrees. It's a
man.
Saturday. What motorcycle are you pulling out of the garage? Where are you going? Tell me what you've been doing on the road, man.
It's funny because I've always said my favorite place to be is alone in my helmet. Like that's That's my happy place.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
It's
man.
meditative to ride. On a day like that you're talking about, I probably get on a BMW. Like my tastes have changed over the years, from my younger days, in my 20s, riding sport bikes and seeing how fast you could go and doing track days and all of that stuff. And now I've gotten more into the longer rides, going touring if I can. I rode cross country 5 years ago, and it was one of
You
the few
toured on your
times.
bike? You
Yeah,
toured on your bike. Oh,
I
that's
went
sick.
from LA to New York, and
Oh,
it's one of the
sick.
few times where the experience was even greater than I imagined it would be. And this past year, of all the things shut down, I was supposed to do a show at a big motorcycle rally in North Carolina in September. And I had plans to ride across the country on the southern route and go LA to North Carolina. And, obviously the rally got canceled because of COVID. And instead, what I did, I was going to stop in Tulsa because a friend of mine has an 8-year-old kid. And I said, it's time for him to go on a motorcycle ride. And she was like, yeah, it'd be great because she's cool with it. And so even though I didn't make the cross country ride, I ended up riding to Tulsa just to take this kid on a motorcycle ride. And she was like, okay, he's hooked. He's running around the house with his helmet on. He won't take his helmet off. And I was like, good, we got another one.
Yeah, yeah, buddy, dude. I know, man. I that sounds like me. My dad back in the day, he had a Harley Davidson, a Dyno Wide Glide. And I remember the day he had it delivered to the house. This is again great years and years and years ago. And we'd go up in the Blue Ridge Mountains up off of like
Yeah, I've ridden it.
North
I've ridden the
Carolina.
Blue Ridge Mountain Parkway. Beautiful.
Oh, dude, the Blue Ridge
Beautiful.
Parkway, it's insane up there. So that, like, I mean, just cemented my love. And I can just imagine how I don't have a motorcycle now, but um God, that's got to be. It's something I always debate with, like that's the thing. I don't want to be a dabbler and be that asshole who crashes his bike just because he doesn't do it enough. Like I think that's something like you either need to do or not do. Like what would you say to somebody who like me who's had a past, but I'm on the fence and it's like, do I really want to do that or can you dabble or is it kind of all or nothing thing? What do you
No,
think?
I think you can dabble. What I would say is, I don't know how long it's been since you've been on a bike. Um,
Um,
how long?
God, it's probably been like 6 years, 7 years.
Yeah. So the Motorcycle Safety Foundation, right? MSF. They have like they
For
have
sure.
like a refresher course, and I would say go take the refresher course, get a bike, get out at least like once a month, once or twice a month, and you'll be fine. And the reason I say that Motorcycle Safety Foundation, I was telling a friend, like back when I started riding 40 years ago, I got my first bike, and back then it was like, okay, here's a clutch, here's a brake, here's a shifter, here's a rear brake. If you make it home, you should be okay. They just threw you out there, and you kind of figured it out yourself.
Yeah.
But now there's great training programs, and they provide motorcycles for you to ride on and stuff. And I tell everyone, learn that way because then it's fun. Because then you don't scare the hell out of yourself. I think what stops a lot of people from riding is they have some kind of close call or situation. They scare the hell out of themselves,
Mm,
and it's dangerous, but you can mitigate the danger. Like last week, New Year's Day, we went riding and we ended up at this cliff overlooking the Pacific. It was beautiful, and there were parasailers jumping off the cliff, right? And I was like, finally, there's a group of people that we can say, "What are you crazy? That's dangerous." You know?
hell yeah,
So
dude. That's
everything, but you mitigate the danger with practice and education. Yeah, if you and the other thing that's really popular now, growing more and more, small bikes. People are learning how much fun it is to ride a small. I'm talking 125, 250cc bike. Just zip it around town and do that. Maybe a little bigger if you're going to be getting on the highway, as
yeah.
opposed to the biggest engine, fastest bike in the world. That it scares people. It's a big, heavy motorcycle. They don't know how to handle it. It gets away from them. It's more fun to ride a slow bike fast than a fast bike slow.
Oh, wow. That's so, dude, that's great, man. That's great. You're so right about that because I know I've been on like, I remember when I was young, I got on this like, I mean, I was really young and I got on this like 600 Husqvarna like dirt bike and that bitch was flying. And I'd never been so scared in my life. But like you said, you get on like a little 120 or like even get on a Vespa or something, you cruise around a corner, you're like, oh shit, this is so fucking fun. I really like that. It's I like.
I know a guy. He works in the exotic car world.
Okay.
So at any given time, you'll see him. He's driving a McLaren or a Ferrari or this or that. But what he gets around town on, what he says he loves, he's got a Vespa 300, and he's like, "Oh man, I can go anywhere on this thing. I can zip between traffic." He loves the Vespa. It's like Ferrari or Vespa. Sun's out. I'm taking the Vespa.
Dude, that is so funny. Sorry about my camera here. I got off center, but that's so funny, man. I know it's different strokes for different folks, right? But I do really love the idea of getting out on the open road, and it's got me thinking lately. I mean, I've had some injuries and surgeries and stuff on my legs, so I'm like, I don't want to get too big of a bike that's, going to be too hard to hold up or whatever. So I would need to make sure that I got something that was right for me, but it's definitely gotten me thinking during this whole thing like, man, it'd be nice to get out on that open road. Another thing I want to ask you about is, did your interest in aviation segue into the motorcycles, or is there any connection there? Because I know that you used to have, before you even started in comedy, you had this whole career in aviation. My pops went to the UF for aerospace engineering, never followed
Oh,
through
okay.
with it, ended up getting into construction. But it's something I've always been fascinated with. I wanted to be a Blue Angel pilot like my whole life. So tell me how you got into aviation and how that segued into the motorcycles.
No, it didn't have to do with it, other than the fact that I like things mechanical. That would be
Okay.
the only connection. No, aircraft to me, that was just a good job. I had no particular love of airplanes. I used to work, I went to aviation high school in New York, and I worked with guys, and they were guys who could look up and tell you what an airplane was, which plane that was, and this and that. They do. And to me, it was like, no, man, this is a good job, And the funny thing about that, so I graduate from aviation. I get my first job at Lockheed in Burbank, and the
Wow.
first plane I worked on was the stealth fighter, the F-117. So from a tech point, it was phenomenal. I'm working on the most advanced aircraft technology there is, and that was all really cool. But what we found out, there were a number of guys who I went to high school with, a couple of hundred of us over a period of 2 years started working at Lockheed, moved from the workers at GM. There used to be a GM plant in Van Nuys that built Camaros and Firebirds. They got paid more than we did. And we were like, what? What? How does it pay more? And they had a better union. That's all it was. The auto worker union was much better.
Mm.
But that was my main thing. Motorcycles were a passion. Aircraft were a job. Now the some of the skill set obviously transferred between the two, using tools, knowing how engines work and things like that. But beyond that, no, there wasn't any. Again, I have friends who have done 30-year careers in aircraft and love aircraft and aerospace. I never had that love. When I started, I knew that I wasn't going to do that the rest of my life. I never saw comedy. I didn't even imagine that. But I knew I wasn't going to build airplanes for the rest of my life.
Wow. So how did that happen? I mean, you didn't see the aviation coming. Where does comedy come into play? It often comes from somebody who just tells you, "Hey, man, you're really funny. You should go try it." Is that your experience, or was it something personal?
Partly,
Mm.
partly. So I had an interesting road to become a comic. So and I went into aerospace knowing I would do it. The way I got into that, and again, you look back and it's really funny. So New York has had all kind of specialized high schools. There was like aviation. There was another school called automotive. Queens Vocational. You'd learn like plumbing and electrical. The famous one, performing arts, which was the show Fame, which was all artists, musicians, dancers. You could pick anything for high school. So when it came time to choose a high school, you would take a test, and if you pass the test, you would get in. a friend of mine's dad was an airplane mechanic, and he made a good living. And at that time, I was good in school, but I didn't want to go to college. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you go to this school, get your licenses, and be a mechanic." So I just went down there. I took the test, and I got in. Now, what I say is ridiculous about that is, think about now as an adult, when someone coming to you at 14 saying, "So what do you want to do with your life?" Right? It's ridiculous to think that at that age, but that's what we were doing. So that's how I got into aerospace. In the 80s, got into drugs, cocaine. It was big
Of
in the 80s.
course.
Don't know if you heard.
Of course.
And
Dude. You don't like
I,
cocaine, you just like the smell of it.
exactly. So I ended up in rehab, and I went to a place called Studio 12. And I tell everyone, the stars went to Betty Ford, the crew went to Studio 12. I was around grips and electricians and makeup artists and wardrobe and all of these people that worked in production. Now, mind you, I had never thought about the entertainment business, right? Because if you're not in it, it's a strange world that you don't understand. Well, now I'm meeting the people in it, and they're like, "This is what we do." And what I saw was they loved their jobs. Now, I could always make people laugh. I always had a great sense of humor. I got it from my mother, funniest person I've ever known. And I got this job training new airplane mechanics. And I had more fun making them laugh. And I was totally comfortable in front of the classroom. They talk about people being nervous public speaking. It was the most natural thing. So I said to this friend of mine from the rehab place, I said, "Man, I'm thinking about being a comic." And he's like, "Yeah, why not? You could do it. Sure." And he told me something. He was at that time a wardrobe guy. He's ended up becoming quite a prolific TV director. But he said something to me that always stayed with me. He said, "Let me tell you about this business. Never be surprised when you're in a meeting and you realize you're the smartest person in the room."
That is great. Oh my God.
And I have found that to be true at times. As you know, entertainment, there's all kind of ways to make it, and it's not necessarily going to be the intelligence.
Uh-huh.
I took
Oh
a
God.
comedy writing class. I did my first 5-minute show. That was January 1993. I was absolutely hooked. I've never thought of doing anything else. From the first time I did stand up, I never had any other thought, any other doubt. I did other jobs to pay the bills, right? You got to pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
But it was what I was going to do. And fortunately, it's worked out pretty good.
Oh, dude, that's beautiful, man. I mean, anybody, I always talk to anybody about this. It's like, you hear these stories about people becoming comedians or actors, these crazy far-fetched things, but it really is like if you are lucky enough to find something that you like to do, like my man Gary Vee says, you need to double, triple down. If you're lucky enough to like what you do and you're good at it, you need to triple down on that shit and don't even just get like laser focused. And if you can find something that you enjoy and you're good at it, I mean, what a beautiful, like like the Jews would say, a mitzvah, dude. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And the fact that you can take that out there and spread positivity in the world, I mean, and affect people's lives in a positive way. I just think that is such a beautiful thing. And if you can help others do, or, just see within themselves that it's possible, you could take that leap and really do whatever the hell it is that you want in this life. It's making that decision, making lists, starting cross things off that list, apply yourself, being realistic and honest with yourself, taking those mental inventories and making sure that you're on the right track. But I just think that that's really, really cool that you went for something that you really enjoyed and you've made a career out of it. You've been able to spread positivity as a result of it. I mean, that's fucking beautiful, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Leno used to say, when people like, "What do you do?" He used to say, "Quit your job. Quit your job, because then you're all in." I don't give people that advice. Leno started at a different time. But what I say, and it's what you said about liking it, I tell anyone, you have to love it. If you want to make it in a creative art, whether it be stand-up or acting or music or painting or whatever, you have to love it, because you got to put up with a lot of shit. You got to deal with a lot of, you hear the word no. You're going to be broke for a while, and you have to get through all of that before you turn the corner. Now, sometimes it happens quick, but usually no, it's years. Like they say, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
And it's not everybody can handle that. And that's
right.
what pushes people away from it, right? Yeah.
So you have to love it enough to do that. I mean, I've done some crazy jobs to pay the rent until comedy paid the rent. And then even once you start doing your given art, comedy or whatever else it is, you work in some of the craziest situations. And, Chris Spencer, who's a big time producer now, but also stand up and started out in stand up. We were doing a charity show a few months ago. We're in the lobby of the building that the charity offices are in, and they have a camera, and we're doing a Zoom thing. And we were laughing because we said, this is like the beginning of our career, because we were like, on Wednesday night, there's a rooftop show in downtown LA. And then on Fridays, they do a backyard show in Venice, like all of this. And we used to do that. That's how you start out. You're working in the back of this coffee shop.
Oh, yeah. Go to the bowling alley.
Annoying people. Tuesday nights, you're annoying people at the sports bar because they want to watch the game. They don't want to listen to your shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you do. But so that's why I say you have to love it. It doesn't start out, Saturday night at the Improv or, on Amazon Prime or Showtime. No, it does not start out that way. You look at Kevin Hart, right, who's making a gazillion dollars and starring in movies. Yeah, he did shit gigs. I think that's why all comics get along, because we all started out doing, Wednesday night at a biker bar.
I think you're right. Yeah, dude, absolutely.
And we still remember that. We're still like, yeah, I remember that. So,
there's no way to get through it clean. Like, there's no way to get up that ladder like unscathed. That if somebody else has like that success in comedy, they've seen some mean bush and they've been
yeah. Even the famous, right? Even like, the Wayans family. Like, you still, okay, so you're Damon Wayans' little brother. That just means you get to the front of the line at the shitty gig. But you still have to do the shitty gig to,
What is it,
although I would have liked to be born a Wayans. I ain't going to lie.
Dude, who wouldn't, man? I mean, but I was going to ask you, like Rogan says it's, people give you like maybe 3 to 5 minutes with your fame. Like, if you can go out there in the fame, people, oh my God, Jeremy Piven is up on the stage or whatever the hell. But if you don't have those jokes, motherfucker, they are not, you're not going to last. You have to be bringing the heat.
Talk to Kramer about that. Ask Kramer. Ask Kramer how that worked out.
For sure. Another good example, man. Another good example.
Fame gets you 3 to 5 minutes, then you better be funny. Even Seinfeld said it. Seinfeld was like, even after doing his show, making, $1 billion, whatever, he's like, when you get on stage at the Cellar, the first 5 minutes you're Seinfeld, and then is this guy funny? And it could work against you, because you could be that kind of famous, and they're like, oh man, he fell off. He ain't funny.
Yeah, it's not up to that bar.
You know who I really respected and admired? I mean, there's a ton of comics, but David Alan Grier, right? David didn't come from stand-up. He came from acting. He's a classically trained, brilliant actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Improv guy, does all those characters. And after Living Color, I guess during and after Living Color, he said they were offering him so much money to do stand-up and make personal appearances, he had to learn how to do it. So he started out doing the characters that he had done on Living Color because people recognized him. And then he developed into a great stand-up. And I mean, used to watch him just come down to the clubs late at night and do spots because he wanted to get good. And the reason I admired that, because he didn't have to do that. He's David Alan Grier coming off Living Color. People are going to pay $100 a ticket to see him stand there, but he put the effort in to become great, and he's a great comic, and I love that. And you mentioned Jeremy Piven. Jeremy's cool. One of the things I
got no hate for him, for the record. It was
I'm not saying that. But what's cool about Jeremy, I think, is the respect of the art, right? Because he's another guy who can come in and it's like, hey, I'm a movie star. I can come in and bump anybody off stage. Everyone in this audience knows who I am, but he wasn't that guy. He'd get on stage and take his lumps, tell stories, work it. And some of his stories are obviously great because they involve movie stars and you know, famous people he works with. That's his world. But I still respect people like that who work on the art, you know, in spite of who they are, you know. And then you look at somebody like Dave Chappelle, right? Who Dave's operating on a level, in this my opinion, by himself.
God level.
Thank you. But he still works at it. He still works on stuff, you know, and it's like
LeBron James on the off season, he's like, I got to work on my free throws. It's like, God damn, he's still trying to improve. Yeah.
You know, before Cosby destroyed his legacy, right? Because that's what he did. He's destroyed his entire legacy. But when he was Bill Cosby and when he was getting paid $1 million a week at Caesar's Palace and all, we used to say, hey, where does Cosby work out new shit? You never see Cosby at an open mic. What is he?
Yeah, that's another one of those dudes like Carlin, who I was saying before, who it's like, where do you even work it out? No, I'm just right now. I'm going to go and do this special. Like, God damn.
Yeah, they would work it out. He would work it out in Vegas. You know?
Carlin, okay. I see what you're saying.
Carlin would work it out. Like there's a little town called, at State Line. I forget the name of the town, but it's a couple of small casinos right at the California-Nevada border. And Carlin would go there and do shows and then go to the MGM, you know. So but I mean, when you're doing it like that, at that level and that long, you kind of know. Like, to me now, it's funny when I bomb a joke because I'm like, you'd think I'd know better. You'd think I'd have some idea of what was funny, and I just did something. And you laugh about bombing because you're like, man, was I wrong? I thought I knew something.
Dude, but that goes to show you how hard people have to work at it, you know? Like, there's certain people it comes more naturally to, but man, like, that's another huge fear of a comedian. Like you say, especially people who have built a name for themselves, they go out there and they put out some subpar shit. Like you said, people are going to be like, damn, they fell off. Like, you have to.
Yeah, the problem they have, and when I say they, I mean guys like Kevin Hart, Chappelle, you know, I don't know, Wanda Sykes, or you know, the top level people, is now everyone has a phone and everyone wants to record your set, and they want nothing more than you to say something controversial or cut this one line out of what you said to make it, you know, you're a terrible person or whatever. And that's why now they confiscate the phones and they have those bags and stuff. I wish I had that problem. I tell people at my shows, please cancel me. Could you please just tell TMZ that I was making fun of gay midgets? I need some press. If you would help me at all, you know. But for them it's a real thing because it's a gotcha kind of thing.
Yes.
But it's hard to make it stick with a comic because it's hard. It's going to be a really hard sell to say that Dave Chappelle hates somebody. It's going to be a really tough sell to make Louis Black a racist. You know, now, I don't care what they say on stage. You know they're a comic and you know what they're saying. And I've always said the crowd, to me, it's like a dog, right? The way a dog can sense where you're coming from. The crowd knows it. The crowd knows if you're telling a joke or if it's real. And that's what destroyed Michael Richards. The crowd knew. They were like, oh, no, this ain't fun. This is some racist shit he's saying right here. Fuck him.
Yeah.
You know, and the crowd knew it right away because you can feel it. And so the whole cancel culture and them listening to us, you know, I wish people would enjoy the show as opposed to trying to record the show. Like, I tell people, like, you spent $200 for a ticket and now you're going to watch the whole thing through a 3-inch screen.
I know, man.
What the hell's wrong with you? So, but it's what they choose to do. So again, I would hope, if anything I've said in this podcast, I did mention gay midgets. I don't give a shit. If you could just cut that out and get me canceled. All you have to do is, like, gay midgets, I don't give a shit. Alonzo said gay midgets, I don't give a shit. And that would help me if you would be so kind.
Dude, that's so funny. Brett, my buddy Brett Ernst says the same
Oh, I
shit.
know Brett.
Yeah, he's a good guy. But no, man, I know it's that's where I was saying earlier. I guess that's that extreme on the other side. I just kind of like, oh, come on, guys, like the whole cancel culture thing, and that goes both sides. But it's like, can't you just go out? Everybody thinks everything is funny until you hit on something that's a little personal, and all of a sudden everybody clutches their pearls and they want to start calling variety, and it's exhausting.
I watched Rickles host Saturday Night Live, and this had to be in the mid 2000s. I don't know, 2005, 2007, and it's Don Rickles. So it's the black guys. Yeah, I was up in Harlem. I saw your friends. Just take the wallet. And the Chinese go, yeah, you got to be nice to the Chinese because they'll ruin the shirts. And he's doing all this Rickles shit, right? And it's hilarious. And I said, the problem today is the extreme left would want to cancel him, and the extreme right would be agreeing with him, like, yeah, that's right.
Exactly right.
Like they both miss that these are jokes. It'd be either this is cancel or it's gospel. What
so
people don't understand about Archie Bunker is it was funny because it was so ridiculous.
Yes.
And they always would show underneath his idiocy, Archie had a good heart.
Yes.
He was just ignorant.
Yes.
But that was all part of it. And people, they don't
that
get
nuance,
that now, which is a shame.
Yeah, there's some nuance and gray area there. And I just, it makes me sad that gets lost on people, and there's so much out there that you can enjoy. But I mean, I know that with you coming up and being in comedy for, like you said, 27, 28 years, and having experienced a lot of the different things that you can on the road, like say like between Last Comic Standing, being on Conan and the Tonight Show, and Leno, being on Joe Rogan's podcast, what are some things that have stood out in your career that you look and say, that was a difference maker, that might have taken me kind of to another level?
Last Comic, obviously, okay. I'll tell you, the first one was doing New Faces at Just for Laughs, because that's
Montreal, right?
That's when I became a comic. I left there and I quit the day job. I got a TV deal. I got some money.
Can you explain that? Because that's huge for comics, right?
Okay, so it's not what it used to be. And one of the big differences is the internet. But when I did it back in 97, when you were a new face, you truly were. People didn't know who you were. They would bring us to the festival. Just for Laughs is the biggest comedy festival in the world. It's over 100 comics, from new faces to Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle, and Russell Peters. So they brought us up after the festival started. We stay in a different hotel than the comics and the festival, so people don't really know who you are. Some do, some don't. And they would have this show called New Faces, and we'd each do our 5 to 7 minutes. And when I did it, they had a theater with a balcony. So in the audience are the people, and up in the balcony are the industry people, the agents, the managers, the producers, the whatever. And they're halfway paying attention. They're schmoozing this and that. So when you got their attention, it was a big deal. So I had this joke. I said, I don't like hockey. Right? Now, when you say that in Canada, boo, and I'm like, shut up. I don't like hockey because the only thing black is the puck. And every time I look, they're hitting it with a stick. I said, now golf, on the other hand, right? And so it gets big.
Yeah.
My manager comes running down the stairs, and he's like, you are about to make a ton of fucking money. And the key word is ton of fucking. He said, when you told the audience at New Faces in Montreal to shut up, everyone stopped, looked, and said, who is he?
Yeah.
And that's how it happens. It's that moment. And I got, like I say, so you get a development deal. Basically, a studio or a network, in my case it was a studio, they give you some money, they sign you, and they're like, we're going to take a year. We don't want you doing anything else. We want to develop a show we tried developing, the ideas didn't take, but they did let me keep the money. But
Very nice.
more importantly, well, no, that was important, but it was like I had been an open micer, I had been a doorman at the Laugh Factory, this and that. But now I was a comic. Now when you walk around, they know who you are. And now I'm talking to, Dom Herrera, Damon Wayans. I met Rogan the year after that. Me and Joe go back that far. And
Fuck yeah.
and um
He's our Oprah. He's the male Oprah now.
all right. All these people, but now you meet them, you're a comic. So that was big. Then I did Last Comic. Last Comic, I was 10 years in. It was my introduction to America. We were on primetime TV. And I remember when it got down to the final 10 and we were going on, Jay Moore, who was the host and one of the creators of the show, said, look, if you don't triple your income after this, you're doing something wrong because you're about to hit prime time. And that was the first time where I started getting recognized. I'd be at the airport or at the Starbucks or whatever. People were like, oh, you're the guy. And what was funny when we did it, it was a reality show. So they showed us living together in between the competitions. So people would start talking to me and I'm like, do I know? And then, oh, you don't know me. You saw me say that shit on TV. You didn't know my first dog's name, which is why I can't use that as a password. And we used to joke back then. We said, damn, we can't go to porn stores anymore, right? This is in the early 2000s when you had to earn your porn. That's right, kids.
Yeah.
You had to go to the video store and in the
A
back,
VHS,
beyond the
motherfucker.
curtain. That's right. But now people recognize you from TV, so you can't go in there anymore. And so that was big. And then that led to the Tonight Show, and Jay loved me, and Jay had me. I must have did about 8 different Tonight shows. I still do Jay's Garage with him. That
Sick.
got me on
Yeah.
Adam Carolla, who I still do. When he went from radio to podcast, I did that, and so on. And it pretty much got my bouncer movie career started. We talked about acting. I've been security guy in Bringing Down the House with Queen Latifah and Steve Martin and The Girl Next Door. And
you were in Fresh Off the Boat, right? Where were you in Fresh Off the Boat? Because I love Fresh Off the Boat.
It was a stretch in Fresh Off the Boat. Rather than a security guard, I played a gym teacher in charge of detention, which is a completely different.
Bro, because I'll straight up, I'll sorry about my camera. Straight up, I for real, I was sitting there thinking like, hold on a second. I liked that show. I watched the show and I couldn't think of where you were in it. And I was like,
that's what I did.
I was so in it. And that, I do remember that, man. You were good at it.
Ken Jeong, who I love, Dr. Ken, I've known him since he came from North Carolina and was a doctor. His day job was a doctor while he was doing stand-up. And he got a sitcom and he had a scene at a club and he called me. He said, listen, I need someone to play the bouncer at the club. You got it, and it was fun and it's funny, man. I've been lucky enough to make some great friends. And the cool thing is, even this is what we were talking about in the beginning, even when they have mega success, we're still comics and we're still friends, right? So you take a Russell Peters. I knew Russell when he was doing Yuck Yucks touring Canada, and I knew Ken. We had a place called Dublin's in LA where we used to all work, and Ken was there, and Dane Cook and Craig Robinson and Ralphie May, rest in peace, and all of us were there every Tuesday night working. Brett used to come. Brett Ernst used to come all the time. He used to do that roller skating bit that he has, but we all knew each other then, and we're still friends now. It's like careers grow and go in different ways, but we came up together, so it's really cool. But so those were the 2 biggest things I've done as far as recognition, and now I got to put weight on that list because, like I say, the NPR nerds are loyal,
hardcore,
fun, and funny people. And the other world that I got into was the jazz world.
Oh, that's cool.
I've always loved jazz, love it. And a friend of mine was the percussionist on this jazz cruise, right? And they were looking for a comic, and he told them about me, and they were like, wait, the guy from Last Comic, you know him? And my buddy Ronnie was like, yeah, I know him. And they were like, can you get him? And Ronnie told me the story. Ronnie said he pulled out his phone and they were like, oh shit, you really know him, right? And Ronnie called me up and I met with the host and the corporate guy who ran the cruises. And I've been doing those for the last 14 years. And I've gotten to know so many musicians. It's crazy to me the musicians I have met. Just this Christmas, we did a Zoom Christmas jazz thing, and I was talking with Vanessa Williams. Like, you know what a mind blower that is? Like,
Oh, bro.
talking to Vanessa Williams, and yes, she still got it. Okay,
Oh,
I
dude.
don't know how old she is, but she still got it. So
Bro, I remember her. She was on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Wasn't she on that episode where she was pregnant? Or
yeah,
did I make that up?
she might have been. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I mean, the
I mean,
first
she's
Black Miss
always been
America,
so
and
beautiful, man. Yeah,
yeah,
no, for sure.
and and I Marcus Miller's a friend of mine. Marcus, was in Miles Davis's band when he was 21, and then he left that to become Luther Vandross's musical director. So he did all that music for all the Luther hits, and I got to know George Duke before he passed away, and just Al Jarreau. They what the fuck am I doing knowing Al Jarreau? I've met Patti LaBelle, and every time I meet one of them, I'm like, okay, first of all, I have no business meeting you. All right, this is ridiculous because I tell dick jokes and you're Patti LaBelle.
Yeah.
But they're fantastic people, and what we have in common, and you know this because you do radio and you do interviews and you talk to people, creativity. And we love the creativity of what we do, and I really think it's true. Every comic wants to be a musician, and every musician wants to be a comic.
It's so
So there's
true.
always that admiration, like, how do you do that? How do you pick up a horn and make that sound? And they're like, how do you stand there and make people laugh? It's great. I love it.
It's so funny, like you say that they're like, what am I doing in a room with Patti LaBelle? Well, you meet a Patti LaBelle every once in a while. I was like, what am I doing in a room with Alonzo Bodden? I mean, it's all relative, man. Like it goes to show you we all have that kind. I think that's good. That's like us staying humble and not getting shit confused. But you're out there doing some beautiful shit, man. So I think that you deserve every room that you get into. And I mean, I don't know, you've been putting out quality entertainment for a couple decades now. So I think that you kind of
Thank you,
deserve to
man.
be in those rooms now, bud.
No, I love it and I appreciate it. And you said the thing about that. It keeps you humble. It keeps you right size. The only place Hollywood gets people in trouble, and we've seen it over and over where it destroys you, if you start to believe it. If you
Yeah.
start to believe this, that everyone loves you and you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and you're a genius and blah, 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 you start believing all of that, well, count down to the end
Yeah.
because now it's going to take a horrible turn, So I think
You're
you
so
got to
right
have
about that.
people, you got to have, and that's one of the things about the people you came up with, right? Like George Wallace, who's a friend, a mentor, and a hero of mine. And he talks about Jerry
Fucking goat.
Seinfeld, and like, I don't know if you saw Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee,
Love his show. Yeah. Love it.
Seinfeld and Eddie Murphy, and they were talking
Oh,
about how they couldn't follow George Wallace, right? And I was like,
yeah.
George, what's it like? He was like, they still can't follow George Wallace. They ain't shit, you know how hard they laugh at that, and
Oh,
that's the thing that keeps it real.
yeah.
Dane Cook said something last year. I've been friends with Dane, and that's a guy who's always been solid, always been friends with me. Public persona, impression up and down, whatever it is whatever it is. But he said something that I thought was really profound in the height of the Black Lives Matter protests and all of this going on last summer. He said, man, wouldn't it be great if the world was like a green room? Right? Where
Dude.
comics
Oh,
just, we
God.
don't give a shit what are you funny?
Yeah.
Then you could be Jewish, black, white,
Yep.
male, female, straight, gay, transgender, because whatever it is, we're going to make fun of it. Whatever you are,
Yeah.
we are going to abuse you for being that. And we all laugh at the end of the day. I thought that was a great,
Wow.
a
Yeah,
great
that's
observation.
pretty profound, dude. Absolutely. I know it gets exhausting, and then you start seeing that people are trying to play to that and use it to their agenda and get people even more riled up. It just fucking, it's sad, dude. And I think that that is why another huge reason why comedians are so important in today's society. Like you're one of the last bastions of truth out there because people don't even know where to fuck to get their news from or who to believe. You got comedians out there actually keeping people up to date. I mean,
Yeah.
that's literally what's going on. I mean, and it's turned into news, just like what Jon Stewart has done with the Daily Show and everything. And you know, there's pros and cons to that, but people go to their comedians for news because they're like, at least this son of a bitch, whether he's right or wrong, like, you know, I'll get something out of it. And at least you take it from somebody you trust. It's hard to find anybody in news now that you can trust. So people more and more going to comedians. I just think that that's another reason why I don't. Again, I talked about dabbling. Steve Byrne called my bluff, and he got me to open for him. I said I always wanted to open. I was going to for this show. I put on comedy shows down here in South Florida as well, and I was like, yeah, I was going to go up in March, and you know, I wanted to, and then we had to cancel because of COVID. And he's like, well, that just means you're going to have to open for me this weekend. And I was like, you son of a bitch. I tried to talk myself out of it for a couple of days, but I didn't. I'm so glad that I did. But it's like, I don't, it'd be disrespectful for me to dabble. I mean, and plus I've tried to do my thing in radio for so many years to take on that, you know, another decade or two of trying to climb that ladder. I mean, I'd love it, but it's like you said, if you love it, and it means something to you, I mean, and you're getting to provide some sort of positivity for other people, I just think that that's a beautiful thing. But I wanted to kind of wrap things up here because I respect your time and I don't want to take too much of it. But we do something here called Hater Hall of Fame. So we're not haters around here. We keep things positive, but I think it's not healthy.
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Just want to jump in on Steve Byrne. It's funny you were his opener because he made this great movie called The Opening Act.
Oh yeah,
which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes,
and you might want to note who plays club security in that movie. Just saying, you may just want to note who's playing club security. Pivotal, important role to the movie. So
call back, baby. I love.
Just saying.
I love it. Call back. I'm so glad that you did that. I know that I was trying to finish a thought and I was like, I think I lost it, so I'll just wrap it up and we'll do Hater Hall of Fame. So thank you for putting up with me. But no, man, yeah. So we do Hater Hall of Fame here, and here's what it is. So people are we have to get the negativity out one way or another. It just is, it's up to us to find a healthy way to do it. So this is more of like an exorcism to get negative thoughts out so you can feel better about yourself and what's going on. It's a little segment we call Hater Hall of Fame.
I hate you guys.
I hate you. I don't even know you.
I hate you. You're tacky and I hate you.
So today, Zoe, what's on the top of your mind? Something that's kind of sticking in your craw, pissing you off, bugging you a little bit. It could be something big, something small, something about yourself that pisses you off. What's pissing you off today?
Oh, Ted Cruz. You know, Ted Cruz.
Okay,
right? Just
copy
shut
that.
the fuck up. You can't. You know, I don't understand politicians who haven't figured out the internet and don't realize that whatever you say is going to be there. So when they show you calling Trump a pathological liar, a narcissist, blah, 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 and now your nose is so far up his ass, it literally keeps your beard black. Like, that's why your beard hasn't grayed. Shut the fuck up, Ted Cruz. And let's go farther. Every no mask wearing asshole should not get the vaccine. It's like, you're right, it's a hoax, so you don't get a shot. We get a shot, you don't get a shot, and we thin the herd. We get rid of them. So yeah,
Bill
so
Burr,
let's
thin the herd.
Every one of them, from the politicians to the protesters, or what, you don't want to wear a mask? Cool. You don't need the vaccine. Let's just set that up right now. Yeah,
I don't hate that.
Those would be at the top of my list. You know, I'm getting this puppy, right? I'm getting this dog. What's the first thing you tell you when you get a dog? He's got to get his shots. And I'm like, how come we're okay with vaccinating dogs, but when it comes to babies, there seems to be a problem? What the fuck? No, you don't get any. No, everybody, it's all fake.
They want to be on the inside, man. You don't know, bro. It's the Bilderberg group, man. I'm telling you. And it's like, I hear you, dog. I know, but like, Take the fucking mask, put it
So
on your face. Yeah, I hear you, dude.
put them on my list. But especially Cruz and those politicians. It's like you guys talked more shit, and it's so funny because it's like we have it on video. It's on the internet. It's like, do they not understand? It doesn't go away. We know what you said.
Well, you know what's
I
even sadder is people will see it and they'll still be like, well, maybe it's like I question the people who are not connecting the dots. And these
Oh,
people
you
are
mean
out
the
there.
cult? You mean the members of the cult?
Yes. I mean, it's like,
you,
Jesus
you have the
Christ.
leaders of the cult and the members of the cult.
Like the 11th rule, the 11th commandment shit, like, thou shalt not speak bad. It's just like, come on. I mean, at what point do you lose credibility fighting for these people who are obviously full of shit?
Well, it's like that insane relationship of an abuser and the abused, where the abused protects the abuser, right? Like cops will tell you all the time,
so right.
It's the most dangerous thing to go into domestic violence into that house, because you walk into that house and the person who is getting beaten suddenly attacks you.
Yeah.
And this is the way it is with these people. Like, you're supporting people who are treating you the worst, who don't care at all about you, and those are the ones you choose to support. It's insane. I don't
incredible,
even,
right?
And you can't. And like, getting back to what we were talking about at the beginning, you can't argue with them because there's no logic. You're like, well, we can't even talk.
Yeah.
You're coming from a different planet. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
And then it's all the projection of, oh, well, you're just a fucking sheep who doesn't know, like, it doesn't want to think. It's so fucking exhausting, dude. It's just like, come on, man. Anyway, but that's a good answer. So go ahead.
Yeah. Kathleen Madigan, who I love, one of my favorite comics and one of my favorite people, has a joke about that where she talked about a kid like, my mama told me I ain't got to listen to you with all that book learning.
Yeah, dude. It's just all so much, man. And I know that it's been going on. This is from, the beginning of time, people arguing about politics and shit. Just seems like right now, man, it's at some sort of fever pitch. And I'm just like, this is another reason why I connect so much with comedians and I appreciate the art form so much, because it's just, again, one of the last bastions of truth and authenticity, and people, at least good, bad, or ugly, being able to talk about shit. And it's it hurts my feelings, man, legit, how people are just so fucking gung-ho and think that everything that they believe is 100% true, and anybody who believes different. That's one of the things I learned in news. It's like one thing that US youth graded highest compared to the world. It was like we were like 17th in science, like 14th in math, this, that, and the other. But we were first in believing that the answer that we put down was correct, even though it was wrong. It's like this false confidence that just drives me through the fucking wall. Was it the Dunning-Kruger effect? It's like these, people going around thinking that they're just like, I'm pretty much Einstein, right? Like, and they are just some of the most ignorant, arrogant motherfuckers you'll ever meet in their life. It's
there's an
exhausting.
old saying: he's often wrong, but never in doubt.
Oh, absolute dude, absolutely. All right, that's a great way to we got one more thing here. It's the mental reps questionnaire, and I'll tell you about it. It's a mental reps questionnaire. Let's do it real quick.
Pop quiz, hot shot.
Why so serious?
What's in the box?
What does Marcellus Wallace look like?
What do you mean funny? Funny how? How am I funny?
Answer the question, Claire.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Is Darth Vader my father?
For real, Pete? I want answers.
Without a good question, a good answer has no place to go. It's time for the mental reps questionnaire.
All right, take as long as you need, but don't overthink it. It's a lightning round of sorts. All right, you ready, Zoe?
Fire away.
If you could meet anyone, current or historical, and spend the day picking their brain, who would it be?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Ooh, good answer. Yeah, that is.
Whenever that question comes up, he's my answer. Who do you want to have lunch with? Who do you want to? Yeah, he's the one.
That's a really good answer. More I think about it. All right, if you had one round trip ticket in the time machine, when and where would you go?
Wow. 50 years from now, forward.
See the
See what we
progress of
become. See what we
humankind.
become. Yeah.
Yeah, or digression. Yeah, yeah. Copy that. All right, I like that. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a real tough one. I'm gonna go with unlimited strength. I think
Okay,
yeah.
like
My
Hulk.
favorite superhero. That's my favorite superhero
That's
is
your guy.
Hulk. Because the angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
I like that.
Although whatever power would turn on Wonder Woman would also be a good one to have.
Uh-huh.
Whatever.
Yeah, you could be creepy and be invisible man in that situation. If you could create a Woodstock type music festival featuring 5 musical acts from any era, who would they be?
Wow. That is, you know why that's hard? Because my tastes change various times as to who I'm listening to. So right now I would put in uh, Robert Glasper.
Okay.
I would put in my friend Marcus Miller.
Okay.
Because I mentioned her already,
Yes.
I would say Patti LaBelle,
Okay.
Al Jarreau,
Okay.
and from the old school, it's so hard because there's so many that were great. But why not Miles Davis?
Can't go wrong with Miles, dude.
Yeah, Miles Davis.
I like that.
That'd be like the coolest band of all time.
Oh, dude. Holy hell, I like that. I was telling my friend the other day about Jimmy Ruffin. He's like, "Who the fuck is Jimmy Ruffin?" I was like, "Get the fuck out of my house." What's your favorite movie?
Wow, again, another tough one because there's a lot of. I don't even have one movie that's a favorite movie. Because movies to me, it's like records. Like you remember where you were when you watched it or whatever. So like I remember when the first Star Wars came out, and I was like 16 or 17, and you had to go to the theater to watch it, and we would go every week, like the whole summer. All we did was see Star Wars every weekend. But then you have something like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is the funniest movie ever made.
Those aren't two pillows.
So
how about them bears?
Yeah, it's such a tough. That's such a tough question.
It's like picking a favorite child.
Yeah, and then you have the real dramas and stuff like that. I mean, to watch Denzel become Malcolm X, not play Malcolm X, to become Malcolm X. That's probably the biggest mistake the Oscars ever made. How did he not get the Oscar for Best Actor? Just because they hated Spike Lee, Denzel didn't get an Oscar for the greatest portrayal I've ever seen of a historical figure.
Being a Miami Heat fan, I understand, but I dislike him for a completely different reason. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
I don't know.
I like it.
Movie.
Yeah, I know.
Hard to pick one movie.
Yeah, I get it. That was a decent answer, though. You gave me like a little idea of what it would be. In a world without stand-up or acting, what's your dream job?
Oh, it would have to be probably testing motorcycles. Yeah, just
of course.
Like
motorcycle Top Gear.
Right. Yeah. If I could get paid to ride motorcycles, then that'd be a pretty good job.
Bro, that's gotta be your next job. Why? That's the show you gotta pitch, like a motorcycle Top Gear.
We have pitched every version of that show you can imagine. Trust me, we are trying. We are trying.
Copy that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's some wisdom you can share with anyone listening who's trying to pursue their dreams in stand-up or acting?
Get on stage. Anywhere, anytime, any way you can, do that. You learn it by doing it. It was a lesson I got from Tommy Davidson. Early in my career, I opened for Tommy, and Tommy said, "Listen, these comics come down to the Improv, the Comedy Store. They watch us." He said, "You ain't gonna learn shit watching us. Go to some hole in the wall an hour outside of LA. Go to Bakersfield at the Holiday Inn and do that Thursday night, because you will learn more on stage in 15 minutes than watching me for hours. So I tell that to everyone. Whatever your art is, when you get a chance to watch the masters, watch them. But if it comes down, either watch somebody or do it yourself, always do it yourself. You'll learn more doing it. And every show is a lesson. And then you may not know what that lesson was, and then some situation will come up and you'll pull that tool out of your bag and be like, oh yeah, okay, I got this. Yeah, get on stage, whatever your art is, do it.
I love it. All right, this is the last one in the Mental Reps questionnaire. If you had the world's attention for 30 seconds, what would you say?
Be kind. Read something. Turn off the news.
Ooh. I like that. Okay. How do you feel? You think we covered everything? You feel good about it?
Oh, this has been fantastic. You could, I'm going to tell you, as an interviewer, you could do a long form like Rogan. People talk about Rogan's 3-hour podcast. I said, when you do it, it goes by like that.
Yeah.
Because he's a very good interviewer. He's an interesting and intelligent person. And I give you the same compliment, because
thanks, man.
You have informed, intelligent opinions. You've done whatever research or whatever to know enough about me to ask questions. So it's not that generic, what's it feel like to bomb? Where is he, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That they ask all comics. So,
yeah,
I think this was great. This was really fun. So thanks for having me.
I really appreciate that.
I look forward to seeing you down there when the world opens.
I know, right? No, me as well, man. And let me know when you're thinking about coming down. I'll be happy to put a show together for you down here. I put shows together down here at Hard Rock and all over the place. So if you have like an extra night and you wanted to put something together, be happy to do that for you, man, because I really enjoy your comedy, man. And I know that comedy fans know you, but anybody out there who doesn't know about Alonzo, you got to go check him out. AlonzoBodden.com. Zo Funny on Instagram, right? Alonzo Bodden on all the others. So go and check him out. I really appreciate it. I just got the quote of the week, and it's from Hunter S. Thompson. Love is that feeling you get when you like something as much as your motorcycle.
I like it. I'll run with that.
I figured you appreciate that, man. All right, man. You're in the Mental Reps family now. You are welcome back anytime. Zo, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, man. It was a blast. Thanks for having me on. Hi, it's Alonzo Bodden. You are listening to the Mental Reps podcast with Brian Wright. Hey, keep your head on a swivel. No, really. Swivel, asshole. They're right behind you.